Hey, what's up, y'all? Martech79 here. Spoiler warning for Marvel's The Eternals. I appreciate you clicking, but if you have not seen the movie, click off the video right this second. Okay, so Thanos was right, man. His mission, his goal to eliminate, or at least half of the life forms in the universe, was apparently justified after finding out the mission of the Eternals and the Deviants and the Celestials, the Celestials, the Celestials. So the mission of the Celestials was to send the Eternals to a planet and expand its population, which gathers cosmic energy for another celestial to be born inside of a planet. And when a planet's population reaches a certain level, then the celestial can gather that power to be born into existence. But in being born, they absolutely annihilate the planet. And during Infinity War, apparently the celestial that was going to be born on Earth was 7 days away. But since Thanos was successful in his Infinity War, he snapped away half of existence in the universe. That stopped the plan of the Celestials bringing forth the destruction of Earth. Holy crap. Mind blown. And during that revelation, Ajak, Salma Hayek's character, the leader of the Eternals, realized the will of mankind to want to live on this planet. So she devised a plan to make sure that everybody survived and to prevent the birth of the new celestial. And then she tells Icarus her plan, her second in command, the Eternal, with basically Superman powers. He's the one with the heat vision, the power of flight, and the super strength, and he can't handle it. He is an Eternal to the bread and bone, and he betrays Ajak and kills her. How are people saying that this is not a good movie? I have read so many comments across these groups on Facebook and on my own personal timeline from my own friends list. Oh, this movie sucks. Don't go see this movie. This is terrible. What did you watch? Did you understand the plot? Did you understand what was going on in the movie? I'm so confused. I was enthralled with this movie from start to finish. I'm the one that's usually quick to tell you if a movie sucks or not. This was good. This was a good film. I'm so confused. I'm so confused by this reaction. I can't even imagine what's going on in Marvel Studios right now. I guarantee you they thought this is going to be a banger. We're good here, right? Nope, apparently not. What? No. Come on. Then to top it all, we have Angelina Jolie in this film as well. There's not one movie that I can recall with Angelina Jolie in it that I just stopped and thought, man, this movie really sucks. And I'm talking about even like the cheesy Tomb Raider fans. I enjoyed those movies a whole lot. How she portrays Athena, the goddess of war, in this movie, a character that is plagued with bouts of schizophrenia and memory loss where she just completely loses her mind and tries to kill everybody. Oh, chef's kiss. Her powers are she can basically create any weapon that she could possibly want out of thin air. And then she is clearly a master of every form of fighting. And all of her fight scenes were absolutely immaculate. I have no quarrel with any of the fight scenes in this movie at all whatsoever. The scope was magnificent. And that takes me to the character Icarus. There has the only character that I've ever seen in a comic book movie style that I'm like, all right, this is very believable that this is a Superman character, is Superman himself. This was a very believable character, is that if he wanted to take over any of the previous battles from the Avengers, and that includes the Battle of New York, the battle against Ultron, and the battle against Thanos, he most likely could have ended all of those wars by himself, just like Captain Marvel. But the Eternals were not allowed to participate in any of those wars because they're only allowed to fight the Deviants, or they're only allowed to protect humans from the Deviants. That is direct order from the Celestials beings themselves. That brings me to the character Druid, which arguably is my favorite character from the entire movie. I love that The promotional imagery and story arcs from the previews would suggest that Druid is the one that portrays the Eternals, where he's the one I feel like that arguably cares about humans the most, even though he kind of wants to take away their free will. But he was really the first one to say, like, hey, we've been here 7,000 years, right? Why are we letting them kill each other? Let's just stop it. Let's stop all war, all famine. Let's help them, because he has the power of mind control. He can mind control any human being on the planet. Certainly would have been helpful when all that war was going on. Too bad they couldn't participate in any of the wars in the previous Marvel movies. Story, but nevertheless, and he actually didn't even really do too much fighting, but he was still a very cool character and one of my favorites. So while her picture up, let's go ahead and talk about Cersei, the other half of the equation for the Eternals. If Icarus is one side, then Cersei is definitely the other side. After Ajax is killed, he chooses Cersei to replace them as their leader. Pretty cool. She has the power to create matter virtually out of nothing that can consist of rock, water, sand, dirt. Pretty cool. Now, when it comes to all of the Eternals, to be completely honest, Cersei may be my least favorite. She just kind of seemed uninteresting to me outside of the love story between her and Icarus. She just really seemed uninteresting. I mean, it was cool that she got the leadership role of the Eternals, and one of the main plot points of the movie was her trying to understand her role in leading the Eternals to trying to save mankind, where the first half of the movie had Icarus trying to stop that plan, and then when he finally reveals himself to the other Eternals, it becomes a versus battle of him versus the rest of the Eternals, which of course caused some conflict because they were in a relationship for so long. So that added some drama, which was good. But, you know, when it comes to my comic book love stories, not the best. It definitely had some key points, like the beginning of how they fell in love really had my gears going, but the continuation of it and then them breaking up and trying to find themselves again, and just, I don't know, that portion of it I found boring, uninteresting. Yeah. So since Makari is on screen, let's go ahead and cover her. She is the Quickster of the Eternals, and she also happens to be hearing impaired. Now, when it comes to seeing Quicksters in live action movie form, from Flash to Quicksilver in the X-Men and the Justice League, respectively, some of my favorite aspects in those entire movies. It is no difference here. Makari's running sequences in the Eternals is some of my favorite set pieces in the entire 2.5 hour film. Seeing somebody run around the entire planet in the flash of seconds will never not be amazing. Kudos, chef's kiss. Amazing. I have nothing ill will to say about Makari at all. Obviously, she didn't really have much dialogue. She did have it in the form of sign language, which she definitely had some comedic elements with. There was one specific scene where she was talking to some villagers in ancient time, and they were trying to confuse her by giving her like some fake treasures or whatever, and she was like, no, I can see that you're lying. I can sense the vibrations of your voice when you're talking to each other, so technically I can feel, not necessarily hear what you're saying. Super cool. One of my other favorite characters of the movie. You gotta love the Quicksters and the Tricksters. Now let's talk about Phaedos, the inventor, the scientist of the Eternals. Basically, his power is to create and push forward the technologies of mankind. Super awesome power as well. When he was creating that mechanical mind-bending thing for all the Eternals to mend their minds together to stop the Celestial from being born, you cannot tell me that those hand motions was looked very similar to a certain anime. His name is Naruto, and it looked exactly like how he summons his powers, and that was so cool. You gotta love it. You got to love it. Also, a source of controversy with this character as well. This is the first homosexual superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If I'm being completely honest, I really didn't let that deter me from enjoying the experience. I find it ridiculous that when you go into these Facebook groups that certain people will let that deter them from enjoying a 2.5 hour movie when that's literally only maybe a minute that his husband was in the film. I don't know why that is so hard to understand, but here we are. And that leads us to Kingo, another cool character, which his power is basically summoning energy gauntlets in his hands and shooting them off like spirit cannons, like another certain anime. His name is Yusuke. If you know that reference, I love you. But basically, he can charge it up like Samus Aran's arm cannon and shoot it at the deviants like they're pinatas. And it was so cool. He definitely, probably next to Icarus, his powers were probably my second favorite for sure. They may even be first. I mean, I think the Quickster and Makari will always have a special place in my heart as well. But just him firing off these energy blasts just like it's nothing. Oh, that was just such a marvel to witness. And he was the one Eternal that had a major dual personality as well, besides his eternal life. His human life, he is a major action star, spawning generations on generations from his great 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 grandfather to himself, which obviously he portrays himself, but to kind of pass along the lie that it's not just himself, because obviously that would be crazy in a normal human life. It is his great 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 grandfather that started the legacy. I love it. I absolutely love it. And that takes us to Gilgamesh, the strongest Eternal, even stronger than Icarus, but it doesn't matter since he didn't make it to the final battle against Icarus. But his powers is super strength and basically putting a body armor around himself to showcase his super strength. His main purpose of the movie is cooking and protecting Athena from herself. Near the beginning of the movie, that Ajax was going to erase Athena's memory to prevent her from having the visions of destruction and the earth blowing up, even though those propositions came to be true. He took on the responsibility to protect her virtually from herself. I did have a slight issue with this though. My mind found it hard to believe that you would protect somebody as beautiful as Angelina Jolie for 7,000 years and not once think, should we maybe start a relationship? You know, I kind of love you. Don't you love me? It's been a long time. Just saying. And not once throughout the entire movie did she recoup his love, maybe, for her. But then again, he never actually stated that he loved her in the movie either. I really didn't like that. 7,000 years is a long time. I don't think you spend that much time with a person that you have that such strong feelings for and not once think like, could this be something more? Should we entertaining? Should we talk about it? You know, maybe they did. Maybe it happened off screen and the directors decided not to show it. But I don't know. I just found it weird. I wasn't a fan of it, especially after all that. He did all that to protect her, and then he still died in the end. Anyways, the deviants eventually got to him and sucked away his powers. Yeah, sucks. Unfortunate end for Gilgamesh, but cool character nonetheless. I just didn't like how he was portrayed in this movie. So yeah, if we're going to go into anything negative, definitely not my favorite. And that brings us to our final Eternal, Tinkerbell. Not Tinkerbell, Sprite. Basically the mascot of the group. She is forever in a child's body. She contains the power to make illusions out of thin air, but it still materialistically has to have existed in her mind before. Pretty cool power. kind of the most uninteresting power though as well. It's helpful to escape dangerous situations, but she is really not much of a fighter either. So the core basis of her character is that she is miserable in her existence, that she is stuck a child for 7,000 years. So she, like Icarus, was all for the planet being destroyed, so maybe she can get a new lease on being something different besides her child self. Of course, unfortunately, that didn't work out for her, but by the end of the movie, she was able to gain a humanity so that she could age like a normal person. So happy ending for her. It's a great story arc. So I don't think she was able to keep her powers, though. That's a question that was not answered in the film, but I would like to know, did she keep her powers or not? Answer in the comments section below. And that takes us to the main antagonist of the film, the deviant Druid. Now, y'all know how I do. If you've ever watched a movie review from me before, I usually determine how good a superhero movie is about how good the villain is. Now, if I was going by that scale here, yes, the Eternals would be a terrible movie because this was probably the most forgettable villain I've ever seen in any superhero movie ever. The villains ended up being the Eternals themselves. Icarus, with his betrayal, I feel like became the actual antagonist of the film. I feel like Druid is just there to kind of be that antagonist for the first act, but by the movie's conclusion, the Celestials are shown to be the true antagonists of the movie, even though not really though, because they're just doing their purpose of existing too. They're trying to procreate, and how a celestial procreates is by getting the cosmic energy from a civilization and utilizing that to explode out of a planet. So, as we all know, by the movie's conclusion, Siri was able to unite all of the Eternals' minds with the device that Phaetos created, and they were able to prevent the birth of the Celestial, which prevented the destruction of Earth. Hooray! Very awesome final battle between Icarus and his fellow Eternals. That was a huge spectacle, not quite in-game or even some other final battle in some other Marvel movies. Not my favorite at all, but still have some cool set pieces though, for sure. If I had to rank this movie, I put it right in the middle. Definitely not my favorite. I'd still say Endgame, the Cap movies, Black Panther, the original Iron Man are still the MCU's best. Even the most recent movies, I definitely prefer Shang-Chi to this. I'd say I enjoyed the Eternals more than Black Widow. So definitely not the best movie, but not the worst movie either. So the hate that I've been seeing for this is just ridiculous in my opinion. So I definitely say get out there, give it a try. Maybe go in there with an open mind, make your own self-judgment of this movie for sure. Now, in credit scenes, Star Fox makes an appearance. He is also an Eternal, and he is Thanos' brother. Sweet dude. I don't know anything about him. I'm sure he's going to be cool. I know a lot of people were trying to hate on Harry Styles for being chosen to portray this character, but I'm all for it. Second, in credit scene, Black Knight takes up his sword, but not first without a warning from Blade. Very excited to get these new characters introduced into the MCU. Again, sweet dude. I saw the original Blade movies when I was younger, but I don't really know anything about Black Knight. I'm sure he's going to be a cool character. His sword has souls in it, it looks like. So that's interesting. So that's really it, man. Oh, one other part about the ending. The whole Icarus self-kamikazing himself after the final battle, flying into the sun. Wasn't a fan of that. Honestly, I don't even think he really did it. I think he's alive still. What do y'all think? Okay, I've been talking almost 20 minutes. That is my YouTube limit for these movie reviews. How did y'all like my breakdown, man, and my review? Hopefully, with the purpose of this movie, I have gotten out some positive thoughts and trying to get some understanding of why people were hating this so much. I thought it was a good film. So you all know what I want now. I want your comments. I want your opinions. Did you love the movie like I did? Well, that's a little aggressive. I didn't love the movie. I liked the movie. I thought it was okay, but I didn't hate it though. But did you all hate it? I want to know. Tell me in the comment section below. Let's have a get all right discussion about it. Don't be afraid. Fire right off. Try to be respectful though, so that YouTube doesn't delete your comment. Yes. So did you enjoy the video? I hope you did. If you did, please hit that like button. We basically review all of the MCU blockbuster movies. We also do DC, anime, and a whole bunch of other stuff on MarjX79. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, notification bell icon so that you'll know whenever I upload a new video. You can follow me at youtube.com/MarjX79. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I am new to TikTok, so make sure you give that a follow as well. And as always, my friends, I will see you guys on the next one. I'll catch you guys later.